Hey guys, welcome back to the Dumont RA-102 console television restoration project, better known as the Clifton. No surprises so far. Here are the caps I've replaced. You can really see how miserable some of these seal tight are. As the heat melted the wax over the years, either internal heating from the capacitor failing with leakage current, or external heating because it was too close to a part that got out. Couldn't say. What I can say is there are a few more repairs than I originally thought. I'm pretty darn sure these are both replacements. They were just so neatly done. It was hard to say until I got them out and compared them to the other types of parts that were used. Alright, so that is proceeding well. I put the chassis right side up again, so I want to take a look at it a little more closely. I did some little cleaning, brushed off some of the dust and dirt and debris. And what I'm turning my attention to now is this tuner. I better find out sooner than later if the shaft is damaged or not. So as I mentioned earlier, it is frozen. You can take off 4 Phillips screws along the top here and then get at the inner working. Sometimes when these are mounted, that can be a little tricky because there's stuff in the way. But I think I might be able to just get in on either side of this vertical support and get this cover off. Boy, I hope there aren't any screws on the side. Of course there are. I don't know if I can get this open in place. Sure as heck don't want to uninstall it and remove everything, but if I have to, I have to. I'm not even sure how that would happen. So we got a coax going in down here. I don't know if this top box comes off by itself or does this whole unit have to come off, and as you can see it's yeah, it probably is all one piece with this tuner and everything. Okay. It's probably mounted down from below. We can take this dial light off easily enough. These 3 tubes, I'm guessing it'll go through the vertical support. They got a cutout here. Not much room on the other side though, because there's a coil and a tube there. So if I undo it from below and I try to push it this way to get, well, of course I could take this tube and the shields off, so never mind. Just being stupid. Take these off, should be able to get it out. Down below there probably are 4 connections, and I'll have to undo the coax. Looks like I can probably just take this antenna assembly off, remove the strain retaining clip here. Okay, maybe I won't do that right now. Okay, here's the underside of it. See, I think it's going to be that nut and those 2 nuts, possibly these 2 screws. And connections going into it. I think it's one of them here. Huh. There'll have to be more wires going to it. I mean, it's got to get power, filament supply, plate supply. Oh, okay, they're coming through over here. Ah, I see. There are the wires coming down through here. So I'll have to label everything, disconnect that wire, undo the screws, unmount the whole thing. Then we can open it up, then we can lubricate it, clean it, and get it working again. Well, at least now you can see the work that I've done. So place these caps and a few over here and a few down in there. Basically I started out with the ones that were easy to get at, to get a feel for how things were soldered in. It's rather easy to undo the terminals, so instead of doing J-hooks I went far enough to completely undo everything. Only had to replace 1 resistor so far. They've been pretty well in spec, and I noticed these resistors are fatter than I'm used to seeing. So these look like 1 watters, and they might be, but I believe the schematic shows half watt if they list any wattage at all. I'm wondering if they just over-engineered it. This one even clearly says 1 watt, it's probably a replacement. Did they only use 1 and 2 watt resistors in this set? Even though half watters could have done it in a lot of cases. That's what it looks like to me. I'm not seeing any of the smaller half watt carbon comps underneath this chassis. Well, I started loosening up some screws down below, but this whole assembly was not moving at all. I think it's made up of several pieces bolted together, screwed together, and it is not going to be trivial to get it apart. I think the Mallory Inputuner is just kind of this part. Or maybe this is an early incarnation. I'm not sure, but this is on there really, really solidly. I don't think I can just take a couple screws off and the thing's going to come out. Alright, so I went back to looking at this top. So it's a thin piece of aluminum, bent at a right angle, 4 Phillips screws across the top and 4 along the back side. Now the top 4 I could get off, no problem. 2 on the side I can get off, and then 2 I can't because of this stuff, unless I had a really itty-bitty screwdriver or some kind of right angle tool. But I thought, well, what the heck, let's just see how far we can get. And I started taking off these top screws, and I noticed as I did, it started lifting up. So we got one left here to go. And I suspect what may have happened is somebody found themselves in exactly the same situation that I'm in back in the past, and they just took these 4 off and bent the thing up a little bit. Now there's no crease in this metal yet. I don't want to force this up any more than it already is, or I am going to end up bending this. So what does that get us? Well, we can see the roller inductors now. In this particular incarnation of it, there are 3. And then up front, it's really hard to see. Sneaking from this side, no, not much better. There are some metal fingers. Let me unmount the camera and try to get in there closer. So the roller inductors are pretty straightforward. It's silver-plated wire wrapped around a form on a ceramic shaft, which I can now see is not broken, and that's a very good thing. And then there are some contact fingers down below, and as this rotates around, they slide back and forth. That's what you really want to clean. This looks pretty clean. And even with just being open this much, I can spray some Deoxit D5 on a Q-tip once I get the shaft freed up and rotate it around. That should be good enough. Now what gums these up is down at the other end, there's a somewhat complicated mechanism with some fingers, and as this rotates around, you can hear them clicking. And down in here, we have a bunch of gears, and they're on shafts, and there's bearings behind there. So what I'm going to do is shoot some stuff down in there. I'm going to go with some contact cleaner first to try to flush out the old stuff. I've got some around here somewhere. Yeah, I got some old Radio Shack stuff, and I've got another can somewhere around here. This is more just a flush out. You could probably use WD-40 too, something that's got a straw so you can get down in there and flush it out. And then I'll go with the Deoxit D5, as I said, on a Q-tip, and clean up those coils. And let's see where that gets us. What I really want to do is, after I flush it out, and get some of this Lubriplate 105 down in there, at least on those gears and bearing points as best I can. Alright, good news. After doing all that, with the knob back on to give me a bit more leverage, yes, it's turning now as it goes. Well, this is what I was trying to find. So this is what I ended up spraying down in there and mopped up the solvent with a paper towel as it came down with the dried lubricant. I sprayed some F5 in there, which both cleans and leaves a lubricant behind. It's the only aerosol lubricant I have on hand right now. And did that work? Yes, indeed it did. Indeed it did. Go around and get this nice little lever here. You're going to turn it quite a few times to go from all the way from one end to the other. If you listen closely, occasionally you can hear when those fingers hit. Now we're at the end. There's one. There was another. That was another. One more, and another. And then we're at the end. It's a little eccentric. I don't know if I didn't put the knob on straight or the shaft is a little. Yeah, the knob's not on straight. Joys of wooden knobs. You can imagine this knob got used quite a bit too. And then I put a single set screw on the knobs. The smaller ones push on, but the larger ones just have a single set screw. I think they would have been better off with two, and I think over time it's made it a little cockeyed. Yeah, we can work on that, but hey, the important thing is it turns, and you can see all those dots moving around there. Illumination from this little bulb up here. I suppose we can hotwire that, huh? I have a variable DC power supply back here. Yeah, it's plugged in. Let's crank her down. Let's see, let's use the right hand side one. And 5 volts. Alright, I'll rig up, I'll disconnect this from the rest of it because it's probably in parallel with all the tube filaments. And let's see if we can get this dial illuminated. Baby steps, but it'd be cool to see it lit up, I think. Alright, got a power supply rigged up. Let's give it a try. Alrighty. Cool. Probably will work a little bit better with a newer bulb. That bulb is quite dirty. First I've ever seen one of these illuminated. It's cool. So we got an inner ring with dots for the low VHF. Then we got a band of green numerals for the FM band. And then on the outer side, it's sort of the mode. So now we're in the FM band. And now we're in the lower VHF. And around the outside is, I guess, the frequency. So it says amateur here. It goes all the way down to 50 megahertz. And if we go all the way the other way, now we're going to the lower VHF channel 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now we're in the FM radio band. Now, I wonder if they mute this out or they let it receive, because now we're sort of thinking no man's land. You're an amateur. Well, it's not amateur these days. Between the end of the FM band, so 120 megahertz, 140, 160, and now we get up into channel 7 through 13. And now we read the channels off that innermost ring. So channel 9, channel 10, 11, 12, 13. And then we're at the end. Very cool. Obviously we got a lot of work to do, but hey, at least we get to see that illuminated for the first time.